Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. So we have out the Epiphone Les Paul SL, otherwise known as an E1 or an EL, whatever. Anyways, you guys know this guitar, right? Okay, so this video is about doing upgrades, more specifically the bridge and the tuners. The tuners that come with this guitar are absolutely disgusting, gross, and they don't hold a tune worth of beans. But you got to know this going into this guitar. All right, it's a heck of a beautiful guitar. They did an awesome job on it, except for the tuners. And of course, we know about the lousy bridge. So, as far as upgrading goes, you can go to Amazon.ca, Amazon.com, whatever country you live in, you should be able to get these parts without a problem from Amazon, whatever. Okay. This is the Music Lily Bridge. Okay. Now they say for Les Pauls, etc. Well, it fits this. It's a Les Paul. All right. Now you're gonna have to use the included screws, which will thread in to the stock bushings that come with this guitar. So remove the originals and put in the new ones. It's the only way this bridge is gonna stay solid. Some people have actually used their stock screws and complain about a floppy bridge. Well, that's their bad because there's a reason why they include parts here, okay? So make use of the screws. You won't need the bushings though, okay? But if you're going to keep your old bridge and your old screws, just put those screws into those bushings so that they stay with it. That's what I did, and I threw everything into a box. The intonation can't be set properly on this guitar with the stock bridge. Everybody should know this by now. They give you little adjuster screws at the bottom, which you'll also have here, by the way. Whether or not you're going to need to adjust them, who knows? I didn't. So what I did is I just unscrewed them, put it square on. Once I got tension on the bridge, I just turned these just enough to just lock them in place against the screws. This way they can't vibrate out loose and I won't lose them. Okay. Now these are fully adjustable now for intonation, so you can get a really good spot on intonation set up now on this guitar, which is very important for tuning, very important for playing things in tune as well. Because messing around with that other bridge, you're going to have to find the worst strings that are out and adjust that way. Whichever direction you need to go, that depends on which side you turn the screws on. The thing is nothing but a nightmare. They even put these things on real Gibsons. I don't know why. It's like, it's a dumb bridge. But this works, and it was only $21 and change for the nickel version. They also have a chrome version. I went for nickel, because nickel's going to definitely outlast chrome plating any day. So, wonderful bridge though, really like it. I was able to get a little bit more space, because one of the complaints you're going to hear about this is, especially on the E string, not so much on the B, but mainly on the high E, where it's really close on the wrap over, okay, to coming to the front and touching. Well, I managed to drop this thing down to about a millimeter of clearance on the 12th fret, which worked out perfect because it gave me that much more extra clearance on the high E. All your other strings will be fine, okay? But I was able to get down to a millimeter there, and I even brought this down, I believe, to about 1.5 or 1.75, somewhere around there. Much lower than what I had it. So the action is set up beautiful on this thing. And the neck is running virtually dead straight too. Now, as far as the tuners go, the tuners, like I said, the included ones, they suck, they're garbage, get rid of them. It's nothing but a frustration thing, okay? But these are Gretsch tuners, which is fine. It doesn't matter if they're Gretsch, it doesn't matter if they're Geiger, it doesn't matter if they're Grover tuners that you want to put on. All of these more modern day tuners or non-vintage tuners require that you have a 10 millimeter hole in order for the thing to fit through the headstock. Okay, and that's where we're going to get into the next part. But before that, you're going to have some screw holes that are going to be left over that are visible. Do you really care? Because I don't. But if you do, then jam some toothpicks in the holes, break them off flush, put a little bit of yellow nail polish on there, and it won't bother you so much. Me, I don't care. It's a $200 guitar in Canada, so I didn't even bother. So anyways, now, As far as tuning ratio goes, I would recommend 18 to 1, 21 to 1. As high a tuning ratio as you really want to put on it. I mean, the higher the tuning ratio, the more it's going to cost you for tuners. But I would not recommend anything below an 18 to 1 because otherwise it's just nothing but a pain either way. So these are 18 to 1 and they work fantastic on this guitar. I'm quite happy. So I'm going to put the guitar away now because we want to talk about the tools that you're going to need. Now, there are two tools, and these are, well, actually there's three, but the first two are the most critical. You are going to need a tapered reamer, okay? Very important. And when you go to bore these holes out, you only go a few turns, okay? Probably about 5 or 6 turns. Switch sides, go up the other way, 5 or 6 turns. You want to keep everything as concentric as possible. And you're going to do that probably about 4 or 5 times. And check in between, because what you want to be able to do is take your straight reamer, which you will need one, okay, and the straight reamer is 10 millimeter reamer specifically. This is not a 10 millimeter reamer. It can actually go far beyond, so don't be making your holes gigantic, okay? That's why you got to check every couple of flips to make sure. You want this reamer, because it's flat, you want it to just go into the top. Once it just rests in there, now you're going to need this, okay? The other part you're going to need is a handle that looks like this, okay? And you can get these handles at any hardware store. As far as your reamers go, I bought a kit actually from wish.com, which is also where I got this reamer, but Amazon should have these too. But you want metric reamers. Very important you go with metric, okay? So, yes, that includes you guys in the States who are still on the SAE standard system. You're going to need metric for this. Anyways, so once your handle is attached, then you can use it in this manner, and what you want to do is just light pressure. Same as when you're reaming this hole here with the tapered, just let it sit in there and just give a little tiny bit of pressure just so that it can cut, and that's all you need. And same with this, is just a couple turns, like you would turn back off, turn back off, turn back off, turn back off. And you're going to keep going, and only from the top side, okay? Not from the bottom, from the top, okay? Very important, because if anything is going to go wrong with your finish, it's better to have it go wrong on the bottom to create a little tiny paint chip, should that happen, because the tuner is going to hide it, okay? It's not going to be hidden that easily from the top side, okay? This is why it's important. Use this on the top side of the headstock, and just a couple of turns, back it off, couple turns, back it off. And you're going to just keep going until this thing comes all the way out the other end. And then you're going to carefully twist in reverse and try and kind of grip it really tight with your fingers and twist in reverse and pull, twist in reverse and pull gently, okay? Now, before any of these tools get used, there are some string ferrules that have to be removed. Little tiny things, look like little washer thingies. Okay, those you get from the back side of the headstock. And what you're going to do is put this along the edge of the wall of the headstock until it just touches that string ferrule, and you're going to just lightly tap it with a hammer. I do mean do it lightly. And tap on one side, bring it to the other side of the ferrule, tap on that side, and just pop them out, okay? It doesn't take much to do this. Don't get violent, because that's when things go wrong, okay? So just tap those ferrules out before you start using this thing, okay? So remove old tuners, tap out ferrules, ream, and check. And you're going to be checking with this one to make sure it just sits in that hole, just sits. And then you can get a perfect concentric hole and then install your tuners as normal. Now, I was able to use on my guitar 2 of the factory screw holes from the tuners I chose because they have that little bit of an offshoot to them. Just let me grab the guitar. So because they have this little angle, that's the kind of tuner you want to go for in order to be able to use this hole. Okay, now new tuners will have new screws, but you can use the factory screws if you want to. I just reused the factory screws. I think. Oh, no. Yeah, I think I did. I think I did use the factory screws. Anyways, all the tuner screws are the same anyway. But as far as the screws go, make sure that your screwdriver is a perfect fit. And I do mean a perfect fit. And it's a Phillips head. You don't want too much slop, otherwise you're going to screw up the head of the screw. Do all that, do it right, and you'll have a professional job done by an amateur. I've been doing this stuff for years, so I'm no amateur at it. But you do have to have the right tools. If you're going to work on a guitar, you have to have the right tools. It's not an option. And these were not expensive. I think I got the whole metric kit for about $20-some, and I think I paid about maybe $10 for the tapered reamer. It was ridiculously cheap for all these tools. Because like I said, I got them from wish.com. But you can get them on Amazon too. Not a big deal, you know. But once you have the tools, I mean, any other guitars you have in your collection that have vintage tuners and you want to put more modern day tuners on, you've got the tools now. Voila, you know, I mean, rock and roll. A lot of the reamers, if you buy the kits, you're not going to be using a lot of those reamers for anything on a guitar, but they could come in handy for other things, which is just fine. So it's kind of up to you. I would never consider paying somebody to do this kind of a job for me. And besides, as a guitar player, you need to learn how to do your own setups anyways, or you should learn to do your own setups. And a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of modification. Why not? It's really not that difficult to do. But once you're done and everything's done right, you should have a really beautiful playing Les Paul SL or EL or EI, whatever you want to call these things. They were an E-series melody maker. They've now changed the tag on the truss rod cover to SL now. So it's like whatever, name it whatever you like. But there are other Les Pauls out there, like the Les Paul Special 2s. I believe they also have the, well, I know the one does because I had one. I think it was a Special 2 that I had. Have to go check my channel. But I ended up upgrading the tuners on it as well. And same as my SG Pro 400. That came with vintage tuners. I didn't like them. They sucked. So upgrade it is. Okay? And those tools come in handy, you know. Plus, I've done it for other people too, so it helps to have those tools. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. So I hope this video really helps out a lot of you, and for upgrading your guitars with vintage tuners to modern tuners. And same with that bridge thing. That bridge thing is too simple, man, and it is such a lifesaver for being able to have a really properly well done intonated guitar now. Because the better your intonation is, the better your tuning stability is going to be too. You know, which is a given even with better tuners as well. You know, you kind of need both. Now, as far as a tuner goes for setting intonation, I want to touch on that and then we're gone. I have some recommendations of tuners that you can use that are just fantastic, and I think the one you can still get. I've been using this Korg CA-30 for years. It's never let me down, never failed me. I get superb intonation with this tuner. Okay, the other one is the Korg CA2. It's another one. So you have the CA-30 or the CA2. Either one of these will work just fine for setting up your intonation. If you can find a CA-30, even better, because it is way faster. Oh, excuse me, long day. It is way faster, but this is actually fast enough to keep up, so it'll be all right. But either one of these tuners will work just fine for you. And then when you want to tune your guitar afterwards, of course, just use any regular headstock tuner that you're used to using anyways, because once the intonation's good, it's good. So just don't try using a headstock tuner to set your intonation with, because they all suck for doing that. I've tried with many different brands and it never works out. So you need chromatic tuner for that. The best tuners out there, actually, in my opinion, if you can still find them, which you probably can, is the ones that have the manual needle. right? Like a regular physical needle, not digital. Those are actually the best, I think, for setting intonation with. They have the best response time and everything over anything digital. But it is your choice. But the Korg, like I said, the CA30, it's never let me down. So anyways, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the bell for notifications for more upcoming videos to the channel. See ya!